We are Gold Ivy, a health company dedicated to simplifying health and wellness. The industry is lacking the honest experience and grit required to overcome the struggle, and we're here to fill that gap.
You decide what works for your daily life and how to transform our lessons into your gold. Join us on the fearless pursuit of self-discovery and growth.
This is Ivy Unleashed,
a Gold Ivy production.
What up, what up? Hi, guys. Welcome back. This is Ivy Unleashed. You're listening to Brooke and Andrea.
Yeah.
We are so grateful, as always, that you are here with us.
Thank you for being here. We really appreciate it.
How we doing?
We're good. How was your weekend?
Oh, gosh.
We weren't together, so we need to catch
That's like the
up.
most time we've spent apart in a while.
And we purposely haven't caught up because I'm like, don't tell me because I want to hear it when we're recording.
I had the greatest weekend ever. I still have the giggles from this weekend.
Oh, that's the best.
Not everything, but restaurants opened back up in Minnesota, which was really great. And got the whole group together. I went to good old Bunny's. If you're from or live in the area, Minneapolis, you should know Bunny's. If you don't, you should. And so the boys wanted to watch football. So we went to Bunny's and lucked out and got the whole back room.
Nice. A little more isolation. Feel a little safer.
Yes. Was secluded enough where people in the main room couldn't hear us. And there was two other groups that were around our age. Long story short, became best friends with these people.
That's the best.
We're there for about 8 hours. Just,
you know, the life story.
Yep. We knew mutual people, which is just Minnesota. But we had the giggles so bad. We had one of our friends come and bring a speaker. We just had a dance party.
Oh, that's
in the
best. And then you can pick the music.
Yeah, it was great.
Oh, I love that.
So anyone who's there that's listening, I hope you're feeling better than I am today. No, I'm actually doing well, but it was really great. And then today I woke up and got hit with the good old stim check.
Oh,
it's been a great weekend.
that's awesome. That's a great way to end a holiday weekend.
How are you doing? How was your weekend?
It was good. We did a winter weekend at my husband's family's cabin, and it was beautiful. Like, for being a winter weekend, it was like not freezing. We weren't able to ice skate because it was a little bit warm, so it was kind of slushy, but the kids love ice fishing, which is, I don't think there could be something more boring than ice fishing. Like, I can't even handle how my brother-in-law Brandon is so obsessed with fishing. And he literally will fish anywhere. But what's so cute is now my kids love fishing. Cora won the fishing trophy over the summer, and she won it last year because she loves fishing. Like, Brandon has taught her how to fish, and she loves it. So she got to award herself the fishing award from the year before. It's kind of funny.
Well, it sounds like we both had a very refreshing, rejuvenating, good for the mental health.
Yes.
Lifting the spirits.
Yeah.
We can all use that these
It's
days
important.
with everything going on, which kind of goes into the show that we have lined up for you guys. We have a really, really great show. Super excited. We are talking all about something that we are all, unfortunately, very familiar with.
Stress.
Stress. You know, no matter what your situation is, what you've experienced, where you're at in your lives, it's kind of fair to say right now more than ever, we are all experiencing a lot of stress. So today we're just going to dive into it. We're going to talk about what is stress? Why is it harmful? What impact it really has on us physically, mentally, and how do we recognize its destruction?
Yeah, and I don't want to be a downer, but, you know, when we talk about, oh, I'm so stressed, and we joke about it, like, it's not funny to me. Like, all of my clients, we have to address stress. So, you know, we start talking about nutrition, or we start talking about exercise or sleep, and it all comes back to stress. And so a lot of my clients will joke and they'll be like, well, of course I'm stressed. It's just an ongoing thing. And I refuse to laugh about it. It's not funny to me because it is literally killing people.
It's a silent killer.
It is a silent killer. It affects you in so many ways. And a lot of people you get stuck in this cycle of your stress. It's like you're comfortable with it because it's familiar and you're used to it.
Yep.
But it's killing you. And a lot of times we talk about like how to make this improvement in their life. And I just have to keep coming back to the same spot.
Stress.
Yes. And it's like, what do you have going on that you're losing sleep over?
Yeah.
You know, what do you have going on that is running in your mind? And escalating your heart rate and getting you to a place where you can't really even function.
Yeah.
Or
what are you
can't.
ruminating on?
Yes.
Where are these thoughts coming from? Because we're guilty of it too, which we'll get into today's episode. We're not only going to talk about what it is, its effects, how to recognize it, but we're also going to share our personal experience with it.
Yep.
And then we're going to leave you guys with a plan. We always do the 3 gold stars, but today, because of the seriousness of the topic, we think it's important to leave you with a plan that seems doable and not overwhelming. Because when you hear what we're going to talk about today, I think it's going to make you really think about what are those thoughts that are really causing me to feel this way, because we're all stressed out.
Right. And I think too, it's important to acknowledge that, while you're listening to this, you might actually be in a pretty good state. You might be driving and a little bit more relaxed. You might be doing the dishes or like organizing your house or something. But I want you to really think about those times where you can't even imagine listening to a podcast because you're so stressed out. You have no time. And so what we want to give you is tools in those moments where you're feeling like, I don't even know what to do. I don't know how to get out of this. I'm feeling like I might have a panic attack. I'm feeling like I don't even know where to start. I don't even know how to even address this. And so that's why we want to give you a plan for those moments, just to make it a little bit easier on yourself when you're feeling so overwhelmed.
Because right now you might be doing well. Like me, right? I feel great. Had a great weekend. You did too. But just because we're not in a stressful state right now doesn't mean that it's not going to happen.
Right.
At some point in our lives, it's going to happen. And so like Andrea said, we're going to give you these tools.
Yeah.
When you're in the moment and the last thing you want to think about is pausing and taking a deep breath, we're going to hit you with some facts on why that's what you got to do.
Yeah. So we got to talk about some science. And as we've said before in other episodes, we always find resources from medical doctors, psychologists. We want to make sure that what we're providing are facts. And so we want to talk about the brain a bit and what happens with stress so that you know actually what's going on up here and why it's so important to do something about it. So the hypothalamus at the base of the brain sends hormone signals to your adrenal glands when it senses danger. And those adrenal glands then release a bunch of different hormones. One is adrenaline, which most of the time we love, and it can really pay off sometimes, especially if we're like running from a bear or something. It can increase your heartbeat, your breathing rate. It makes it easier for your muscles to use glucose so that you can act fast, so you can get away or whatever that may be. But chronic stress is where we run into issues, right? When this is happening all of the time. And when your hormones are stimulated a lot, they specifically release cortisol. And that's what can lead to depression, high blood sugar, due to increased release of that glucose in the bloodstream. Fatigue, it can lower your sex drive. It can create digestive issues. It creates anxiety. It can weaken your immune system. It can create ulcers. It can create headaches, high blood pressure, insomnia, weight gain. It goes on and on and on. And so a lot of times we have these things and we're like, I don't even know where this is coming from. I have no idea. And it's more complicated than that.
Right.
But it's important to know that it can cause an ulcer. It could be why you will have a headache. It could be why you have chronic digestive issues. And so diving into stress and thinking about what are these steps I can take? Or maybe it's just, let's get started acknowledging it.
Yeah.
Where is it?
Right. I think the first step with anything, especially stress, is acknowledging it, knowing that it's there. Okay, what do we got to do from here? But it also is important to note the harms, right? The fact, like you just said, I think a lot of the time we go to the doctor and we know we're stressed, but like you said, it's normalized. We're all stressed. Right. It's just life. We are running at 100 miles per hour.
Yep.
Go, 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 go. And you might go to the doctor, me, for digestive issues. And they're, no, it's just stress. No, it's just stress. No, it's just stress. And even if the root cause isn't stress, your issues are making you stressed, is how I view it, right? So going through all my issues and digestion issues, headaches, fatigue, maybe it's not from stress, but stress is exacerbating the situation. So
it's like a vicious cycle. Like what's coming first?
Right. That's exactly what I was trying to get at.
Chicken or the egg.
Right. Yeah. So, but it's important to note too that your hormones, right, are being sent by your brain and you're constantly in this fight or flight mode. And we weren't meant to be. And so the body's trying to protect us. It's just doing its job. But when we're in this constant state of fight or flight, we can't rest and digest, which are the two parts of our brain. So, or two parts, of our sympathetic nervous system. So we have the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest, and then the sympathetic, which is the fight or flight. And so one thing that connects these two, which if you've listened to past episodes, you know that I love the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve is what our stomach and our brain communicates. Mm-hmm. So when our brain is telling our body that we're in fight or flight, it's trying to save energy. It doesn't want to spend energy digesting food. It wants you to spend energy running the hell away from a tiger, a bear, whatever you're in danger from. So something that I had to learn was how to switch on that parasympathetic nervous system. Because clearly when you're using your sympathetic nervous system, your fight or flight is going, excuse my language, ape shit. We got to do something because...
I wish I had that Beyonce song right now to like hit a button.
Because no one wants fatigue and a lowered sex drive and digestive issues, immune system issues, ulcers, right? And so how do we flip on that parasympathetic nervous system? How do we trigger the vagus nerve? And so that can be things like mindfulness, breathing, meditation, gurgling water. One of the ones that I want to talk about, which me and my friends we're just on this kick of cold showers.
Oh,
I don't know if
I have heard about this.
If any of you guys have heard about cold showers, but I'm gonna drop you with some facts. So what the heck does cold showers have to do with stress, right? So they've been proven to help improve blood circulation. So when you cool your body down, your temperature down, your system responds by moving fresh blood. And anxiety and stress can cause an increase in blood pressure. So in theory, a cold shower could help bring it down. Also works by increasing endorphins, which are feel-good hormones.
Mm-hmm. I love endorphins so much. I run for the endorphins.
Yeah, so like exercise, cold showers have that same impact of endorphins, which endorphins can ease symptoms of depression, anxiety, stress, and it also decreases cortisol, which is the stress-inducing hormone.
See, this is one of those things, though. It's like, okay, you're giving me all the reasons to do it, but really, do I want to take a cold shower?
Well, let me tell you this. You got to take it, what do we say? One step at a time.
So how do you ease into a cold shower? I don't feel like there's a small way to do this.
I'm so glad that you asked. So what I do, because I love hot showers, like the idea of a cold shower, I'd rather...
Is this a Herbert
drink
thing?
Bleach or something. That's really aggressive. But is it a
Herbert thing?
Maybe.
Hot showers?
I think it's like a normal human thing.
Yeah, I know, but I get too hot. But I don't want a cold shower, so okay.
Like a lukewarm shower. I mean, I do it right. Like I want to be relaxed in the shower, whatever. So I'll give myself the chunk of my shower in a hot shower. And then right before I'm about to be done showering, I'll turn it to lukewarm. I'll count for 15 seconds, like dance a little, like get the juices flowing. And then once I've done it for 15, then I turn it really cold. And I'm like, it's kind of like my alarm clock, 5, 4, 3. I'm in the shower like 1, 2, 3, 4.
So you end with it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because then, you know, when you get out of a hot shower and you're freezing cold?
Okay.
This kind of has the opposite effect, which is also an added benefit.
Okay.
But so when I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm taking my mind temporarily off of all of my issues about the to-do list that I have to do that day, or if I'm showering at night, everything that went wrong in the day, because, you know, when you're in the shower, you got these things called shower thoughts.
Right.
Sometimes they're good and these ideas are flying, but also sometimes you're just ruminating about how awful things have been, or you're stressing out about how it could be. So, you know, it can act as a mindfulness practice in the sense of it's taking your brain away, your mind off of things that aren't helping you out.
Okay, fine. I'll try it.
And we'll report back.
I love it. Well, yeah. And I think it's important, like you're talking about those showers, like that's a perfect example of a place where you can create some awareness around what are my stressors.
Yeah.
Right. And so when you're thinking about, okay, everyone knows I have stress. Everybody has stress. Mm-hmm. You're thinking about what is it that's stressing me out, right? And so I think to get to that place of, you know, awareness around it, it's like that weight, like that heavy weight on your mind. Like, what is it that's weighing me down?
Yep.
What is it that makes my heart race when I think about it? Or what situation am I in life where I feel out of control? I feel like I have no control, and it makes me so nervous. It makes me so anxious. It makes me feel like I want to escape. right? And so we all have different things that stress us out. And so that's important too to acknowledge, because we all also have different things that de-stress us. And so a lot of times people want these quick tips like, can you tell me how to de-stress? Like, just tell me. And I can give you lots of tips on what works for the general population, but everyone is built different. Everyone has different things that relax them.
Yep.
Everybody has different things that they enjoy doing. And as much as people want these plans of exactly what you should do, what actually works the best is thinking about who you are. Who are you and what do you love? What do you enjoy? What, like when you're doing it, what starts to give you that calm? What are those things?
You lose track of time, what you have to do, and you can just fully be.
Totally. And so I ask people that all the time. I'm like, okay, let's talk about, they don't expect this question to come when I'm coaching them, but it's going to be coming. What do you enjoy doing? What relaxes you or brings you joy? Let's talk about that for a little bit. And they're so confused. Like, why are we talking about this? But I come back to that almost every single call, because if you're not incorporating those things, you're not up-leveling your life, or you're not creating that joy that you deserve, or you look forward to. And if you have something to look forward to, it de-stresses you. It gives you that hope, that light, that something that can lift up your spirits. And that's what you need when you're stressed. And so I bring it up all the time. It's something that I ask people about all the time. And I make sure that I make a note of it so I can come back to it and check them.
Yeah. And I think that's a good way to look at it. The opposites of, okay, what's causing my stress? What do I feel like I don't have control over? What thoughts am I thinking that are creating this? But then on the opposite side of it, okay, what brings me joy? And what am I not doing? What am I not filling my time with that I love doing?
Yeah.
So I think it's important to address both.
Yes. Yeah. And it's important to also address like those general things, because sometimes we just don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Or we just want an idea.
Yeah.
I was listening to a podcast the other day, Dax Shepard's podcast, the Armchair
So good.
Expert.
I think so.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Armchair Expert podcast or something like that. So he's sober and, partakes in AA, and he's somebody's sponsor. And so they'll call him when they're having a moment and they need his advice or whatever. And so what he always asks them is, have you exercised today? And if they say no, he says, hang up the phone, call me back in 30 minutes to an hour once you've exercised. And he's like, 99 out of 100 times that person is way more relaxed. The issue that they had that was like overtaking their body is like maybe 10% of an issue now.
Well, and if that sounds overwhelming for people that are listening and are like, I don't want to exercise. When I'm stressed out, like I hate exercising. Well, it's good to know that studies show 1 minute of exercise, whether that's walking, doing some jumping jacks, some sit-ups, something that you can easily do that doesn't overwhelm you. 1 minute of it can release some endorphins that will instantly make you feel better, make you feel at ease.
Yeah. And I think that there's something too about having someone, like have that person you can call and be like, you know what, here's my thing. If I call you, have me do it. Because when they call you out on it, and like that guy probably doesn't want to go for a walk in that moment. He's like, just listen to me. But Dax is like, no, because let's recognize the destruction, the stress is having on your brain right now. And let's do something about it real quick. That's pretty easy. I mean, whoever he's talking to probably lives in California, so it's probably easy to just hop on outside and walk by a palm tree. Yeah. But, like you said, you could do some jumping jacks. You could do anything that distracts you from that thought or gets you those endorphins real quick. And so we have a lot of different things that we can give you some ideas on. One I always like to go back to is breathing. Yeah.
Well, and also, just side note, if you're really in tune with who you are and what brings you joy, and you have that person, maybe it's not exercise. Maybe it's, hey, when I call you, tell me to hang up and do some damn square breathing, or read a book, take your mind off of it. You know what? If you need to go on Amazon, I'm not supporting shopping problems, but sometimes you need to go to just opening the Amazon app.
Maybe you buy a book that helps you with whatever issue that you got going on there. Get some insight.
Yeah, something that brings you joy, but is also good for you. But whatever that is for you, it's important to find out.
Yeah, and for me, like I have 3 big stressors. I was thinking about this. I'm like, what are my big stressors? What are the things that really just knock me on my
booty?
Yeah.
Booty me down.
And One big one, I even dream about this if I'm stressed, is not feeling prepared. Do you ever have those dreams where when I'm not feeling prepared, I have this dream that I'm on stage because I used to dance. And I have this dream that the curtain's about to open. And right as it's opening, I can't remember any of the choreography.
You're just stuck.
I'm stuck. Or I'm on the bus and I'm going to go play a basketball game and I don't have my jersey or I don't have my basketball shoes. So I'll dream about it. So when I don't feel prepared for something that's coming up, it stresses me out so much. Mm-hmm. It just drives me nuts. And so something that I do for that is the brain dump we've talked about of getting organized. I do a daily priority list, or I talk with Justin about our weekly schedule, or I plan out meals, just something little that makes me feel like I'm a little bit more prepared.
Yeah. Well, and in control.
Yes.
Because when you're prepared, you feel like you're in control. And when you feel like you're in control, you know that if something pops up that isn't on your schedule, you can handle it because you've already done the work to get there and are at a good spot mentally.
Such a good point, because stress goes hand in hand with control. Because when you're stressed, you feel like it's out of control. You don't have that control. And that's such a good point. And then I get super stressed when my space is messy. Like it just drives me bananas. And so I know that just even cleaning up a tiny bit of my space can help so much with stress. Or even if it's not that messy and I'm just feeling stressed, if I just start cleaning, again, control or having a nice, appealing space makes me feel just happier in general.
Yeah. I think declutter your space, declutter your mind.
Yes.
I feel the exact same way. And some people don't. Some people are like, not cleaning is not my thing. It makes me more stressed to have to clean and do dishes. But for me, when things are clean and organized, I have this sense of I can breathe.
Yeah, and what a positive way to manage stress. You get a cleaner house out of it and it looks nicer and you feel better. Yeah. I mean, it might, when I get in that cleaning zone though, Justin will walk in and be like, oh God, okay, what's going on? You okay? I'm like, just give me 30 more minutes with this room.
Well, and some people are deep cleaning. I love to organize, making everything have a home. When I get back from a weekend away or whatever, which hasn't been a hot minute because of COVID, thank you. But putting things back in a home and just I can breathe. It's just the greatest feeling.
I'm a deep cleaner. You're welcome, Justin. I will scrub the toilets. I mean, I would want me to be stressed out if I were him. He'd be like, sweet, my house is going to be clean when I get home today.
Yeah, but then he's got to deal with a lot of other issues that it's pick your poison.
I guess so. But you're welcome, babe, for the clean toilets. But yeah, anyway, so my other one, the other thing that stresses me out is just being around judgmental people. And not saying that, we all can be judgmental or analytical, but when I know I'm going into a space with someone that I know is super judgy, or I hear them talking bad about people, I know when I leave the room, they're going to talk about me, that kind of stuff, which clearly you can create boundaries around that. You can just not be in that room.
Right.
Sometimes you don't have a choice. Is just thinking about what can I do in these scenarios when I'm feeling a little anxious, when I'm with that person around those people. And to me, it's getting centered before I do it, prayer.
Yep.
And then in the moments, deep breaths, and just don't engage if it's going in that direction, or get out as fast as you can if it goes in that direction.
I think something I've learned is to breathe and pause before responding.
That's hard sometimes.
It is. And with stress too, a lot of the times you don't acknowledge it. And like we said, it's the norm. It's what we're used to. And so it bottles up. And then we get to a point where, all right, there's way too much shit in the closet and it's got to overflow. We've stuffed it way too high.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times that's how I get. And I've noticed that firsthand with my digestive issues. And now with so many doctors, my acupuncturist who sent me the link between the vagus nerve, and, which is all about, digestion and stress and anxiety, and the link that it has, 95% of your serotonin is made up in your gut, which is that feel good hormone. So obviously if my gut's off, my head's going to be off, and vice versa. When I'm stressed out, I'm ruminating and I have anxiety, my stomach feels uneasy.
You know what I don't understand? And I know it's a Western thing, but why aren't we taught that? That is a new fact since I went to college. I did not know that before I went to college.
I heard it on a podcast the other day. Dr. Mark Hyman, he's a functional med doctor, and he talks a lot about food and food's effect on the brain and stress and gut health. And he made a really great point of Western medicine. They treat the disease and not the person. So with stress and all these issues, that go hand in hand with stress, like diabetes and fatigue and hormonal imbalances.
Hypertension.
Yeah. It's all unique to the person.
Right.
Like what's causing this is different. How they're going to handle it is different. And so for the longest time, you know, doctors in med school, I've talked to a few of my friends that are in med school right now, and they're taught to just give out the meds, diagnose the issue, and give the meds.
I think I heard from one of my friends that was in med school too, that they had to take one semester of
nutrition.
A nutrition class. So they don't actually have a whole lot of information about that.
And until you start experiencing these things, like I didn't know anything about this. And now I'm doing my research because I'm trying to figure out where my gut issues are stemming from. And the more functional doctors I talk to, where functional medicine, they aim to figure out what is this root cause? What is causing all these issues? So
I'm not glad that you're having this experience, but I'm glad that you're able to talk about this, because it's so important when you're having health issues that you have people that support you with getting to the root of it all, because there's no way that you can have a medication that could cover all of the things you're experiencing. Like you're having so many different symptoms that it's like, how could one pill, and it's clearly not.
Well, and with stress, right? So acne is a big thing when we're stressed out, our face breaks out, and that also links to hormonal imbalances. So a lot of women specifically will go in for hormonal imbalances. So Dr. Jane O, she was on an article in Healthline, and she talks about the link between stress and hormonal imbalances, and how so many women will come in for hormonal imbalances, and the root cause is usually too much cortisol, which is the stress hormone, and then it's just a downstream from there. So every hormone in our bodies is affected, including stress hormones and the thyroid. When we're stressed out and our body is producing way too much cortisol, body doesn't know how to handle it.
Right.
We're constantly in that fight or flight mode. She noted that stress hormones and sex hormones start from the same basic building block, cholesterol. So we have to eat natural sources of cholesterol to make these hormones. So egg yolks, grass-fed butter, ghee, fatty fish like salmon, and avocado, yep. And then we have to control the sources of stress in our life. So not only what is causing these stress, what is making me feel out of control, but things that add to it, like caffeine, alcohol, sugar. And so once we kind of attack it from multiple different ways, so hormonal imbalances, this is what's going on, and I'm having all these issues like hot flashes, fatigue, acne, but it's coming from stress. So once we start with that, then, and we kind of tame the beast of stress, then we can our body can naturally direct the production of these hormones towards sex hormones instead of the stress hormones.
Okay.
So they can produce hormones that help us versus hurt us.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was really interesting, because who knew?
Yeah, and it's such a, like we were talking about, you can try and do the medication that's a quick fix, you know, maybe miraculously it would work, but it is such, there's so many different pieces.
It's a beast.
Yeah, and it's a process. So it's like you need to be kind of monitored too while you do this. Like get your levels at different points, try different foods, try different stress management techniques to see what's working.
Yeah.
To have kind of a team look at you. I feel like, you know, we've talked about this before, but I feel like that's what you need, is multiple doctors kind of with their specialties, looking at what's going on with you with the different symptoms to figure out.
Right. And not only all the different symptoms, but just tackling stress in itself. Like there's so many different ways you can go about it. So many different things that stress us out, right? So whether it be our health that's stressing us out, relationship issues, emotional problems, life changes, money, which is a huge one, social issues, work-related stress, the environment. It's which one do you tame first? You know?
Yeah, I guess I'm curious too, you know, when you're in there and they're like, oh, is it just stress? Do they talk to you about how to manage stress, or do they ask you about your stress, or what happens in that conversation?
Yeah, that's a good question. So not up until this year, when I just saw the new nurse practitioner that I talked about a few episodes back. It was just, well, maybe you're stressed, you know, go exercise, go do this. More of, I'm going to tell you what to do. And if that doesn't work, well, I'll just give you an antidepressant.
Okay.
Where now I'm talking with a functional doc who's like, how much are you exercising? What are you eating? When are you eating? What do you enjoy doing? How do you handle stress? All these questions that she's not diagnosing me with anything, but she's making me think, helping me become more aware of what I'm actually spending my time doing, what I'm thinking about, what I'm putting into my body, how this is affecting me in ways that I had no idea, because Western medicine doesn't teach you that.
Right.
So, you know, I think it's dependent on the person. And like you said, your stressors come from not feeling organized and being clean, not only with your schedule, but also your house. You know, one of my biggest stressors, other than not feeling well and trying to figure it out, is money, which has just come from my childhood and never really having money. But then also I do have money and I'm working my booty off, and it's all going towards medical bills. And I still don't have an answer. Talked about it in our gut health episode about how I get to this point where I just want to feel good. And so the money is worth it. But then I'm spending all this money and I'm not getting any answers. And then that causes me stress. And it's that never ending cycle of, okay, well, which stress do I want?
Right. And it's never ending too. So it's like, yeah, you can address your relationship with money, but it's still affecting your ability to have it for what you need to live. And I think that's just such a good point with managing stress. There are factors that are really hard to control.
Yeah.
You know, there are things that, like, I don't want to belittle anybody's stress. You know, everybody has different, I have a very privileged life, and I know that. And I think it's important to acknowledge that sometimes you're in a really shitty situation. You're in a house that is not safe. You're in a neighborhood that's not safe, or you have financial stress, or you have someone that's sick that you love. And so there's so many things that I'm like, I definitely don't want to say, like, I'll teach you how to manage all that, because I won't. But I do think it is important to think about what you enjoy and can relax you, so that even if it just takes the edge off a little bit, it could save your life.
Yeah.
You know, if you can regularly learn how to incorporate these little things to do in the midst of a really chaotic situation. Like when I was growing up, it was really unpredictable in my house. I had a lot of stress of thinking, like, luckily I had like lock on my door and I kept the Bible in my room, but you know, things like that, where it was like, I was stressed out a lot, but I found little ways that kind of got me to a place where I could take some deep breaths, or I had a space that felt safe, or there's things that I learned to do. And one of them was running. I got really good at it. I got really good at running away. And like, it sounds bad now, but I still love running away. I love running away from my house, because it's kind of like you run away from the stressors, get these endorphins, and then you come back feeling like $1,000,000. Yeah. Like you can handle anything. Yeah. And so, not that everybody can run either. Right. That's what they're going to do. But there is something about like finding either a space that feels really calming to you and that you have control of. Maybe it's decluttered. Maybe it has your favorite things in it. Maybe it's got a nice candle in it, whatever. But there's also, it's nice to get away. Yeah. Find a way to kind of get those good feelings and come back and feel like you can tackle something.
Yeah. You know, it's funny that you say that, because that was your way of dealing with it, right? Running away, and it was healthy. And I think, and I reflect back on my childhood, and up until having these digestive issues, like I never really looked into stress. I thought I was invincible. I can handle whatever. I was go, 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 go. And I ran away from my issues, from my stress. Growing up, I knew I was extremely stressed out of my mind, going through abandonment and neglect and trying to figure these things out on my own. And then I got to college and I was even more go, go, go. And then it kind of was like a bus hit me.
So you were escaping, like you were throwing yourselves into things to distract yourself from what you were actually feeling?
Yeah. I mean, I'm still doing the work behind it and learning how to heal and working with a therapist and doing these things that are hard and suck. Feeling the things isn't easy. Right. But like I said earlier, I know that I get to a point where I bottle it up and then I explode. And if stress is causing a lot of these issues and it's not helping me, like I clearly need to do something differently. And so, yeah, it sucked revisiting the past and really learning how much it's affected me. But, you know, it's kind of life. And I think moral of the story is everyone has to get to a point where they can process their emotions and deal with it before it bites them in the butt. Like I spent my whole childhood running and now I'm like paused. but it's good. Like, it's so good for me. And I don't want to live like that. No one wants to just go. And COVID obviously had a huge part in that, of helping me learn that I don't want to miss life. I feel like I blacked out on my childhood. And I think that was my body, my subconscious protecting me and not wanting me to feel these things. Cause it's kind of like that fight, right? It's the fight or flight is in me, like trying to protect me. And then my parasympathetic is like, no, like calm down. Like, don't miss out on life, which is a crazy analogy, but that's just how I feel.
Yeah.
And money didn't help. And still all of these things that are adding to the stress that I'm kind of having to pick apart and really take the time to pause and think, okay, how is this affecting me?
So when do you do that? Like, do you have a time where you're like really reflecting, or you're really like digging into this?
Well, when I work with my therapist, so that's obviously a huge thing. But when I'm on my own, I've learned that I need people that I can go to, right? So like I have you, my mom, people I can talk to and that I know I can be open and honest with. But there's also these moments. So once, probably the lowest was in college when I was dealing with these issues, and I was kicked off my dad's insurance, and I had zero money and no insurance, trying to figure it out. And I remember being in the shower, and it was the first panic attack I've ever experienced. And it was over money. And in that moment, I thought I was having a heart attack, and anyone who's had panic attacks can definitely relate. But what helped me was being present and drawing myself back in. And I've learned how to talk to myself. And the way I talk to myself is being truthful. Okay, so what's going on right now? I am okay. I am safe. I have an apartment. I have roommates that are with me that care and love me. I have people, and just kind of bringing it back to, it's like your story with Justin when you're in the water and the sharks and you're ruminating and freaking the heck out. And you're like, okay, what is actually happening? Okay, I can breathe. I'm still breathing. My heart is still pumping. And it's easier said than done when you're in that moment.
But that breath, even just that breath of taking those deep breaths can calm it down. And I think,
powerful.
You know, it can really, like, you can end up in the hospital with stress, like just these thoughts in your brain, you know, and having that process of calming it down. And sometimes sometimes people like to think of calming down, like coming down slowly, and it calms them. Some people I've heard, and I read the book Power of Intention, Wayne Dyer, amazing book. He talks about kind of going above yourself, like thinking of yourself, watching your experience from above. And I think that there's something about that where you feel like you're kind of leveling up, or you're going to a higher place, you know? And so you're thinking of, okay, I'm looking at myself. I'm okay. I can take a deep breath. You kind of like coach yourself from above. I've tried it a few different ways, and it's really helpful to kind of just figure out a way to get yourself to decompress, because you've got to slow that heart rate down.
Or from a higher self, or I always think about it too from a friend, right? Like when I'm having negative self-talk, I'm like, hey, would I talk to a friend like this? No. So then talk to yourself in a way that you would talk to a friend. Show yourself love and compassion, and give yourself grace, because you're human.
And you can notice your stressors and your reaction to them to determine patterns, because we get in the cycle of like these same feelings, these same thoughts, these same emotions, these same arguments with yourself or with someone else. It's this pattern because your brain is just used to kind of doing the same familiar thing. Right. And so when we kind of take that step back or that step up or that step down, whatever it is, to notice those patterns, then we can do something about it. And then we can develop these like healthier, more effective responses to it. And sometimes that's establishing boundaries with yourself or with other people. It's saying, you know, like for me with stress, I like to think about being prepared. I'm prepared for my day, or I'm prepared for this moment. I'm prepared for something because that feels like I'm ahead of it. And when we are ready, we don't have to get ready. We're already ready. You know what I mean? For some reason that helps me think about that. Like I don't ever want to feel like I'm behind. Yeah. That just feels stressful to me. So for me, that's getting up early. That's being ahead of the game. And it feels so good, you know, because then you can kind of plan, okay, this is a stressful day coming up. We've got work, got to drop off the kids, got to pick them up, got to take them to dance, got to get them back, got to eat dinner. Like it's freaking stressful and it's a long day, right? Yeah. But if ahead of time, I'm like, okay, How can I make it more fun at dance when I've got 3 kids running around and I'm trying to get one in one class and one in the other and Blair needs to go potty? Like, how can I think about making this a little bit more fun?
Yeah. How am I going to get through this?
I'm going to pack some snacks. I'm going to think about an iPad for survival. You know, things like that where it's like, feel prepared. How can you feel prepared for whether it's work, whether it's home life, whatever it is? Because like work can be super stressful.
Yeah.
You got to create boundaries there too with your time. I mean, I talk to so many people about when to shut your laptop, especially with COVID. People are like, I'm expected to be present all the time.
You're like living at work.
Right.
With COVID, yeah.
And they don't know how to create those boundaries. And so that's something to be prepared for too, you know, thinking about how am I going to handle this day that just is never ending. You know?
And when you're prepared, you feel like you're in control.
Yeah.
Which is the point, right? So I think taking it a step back, it's reflecting, acknowledging what is causing me the stress. Okay, what can I control? How can I prepare for this? What do I have the ability to do to lessen this stress? And then you can kind of think about, okay, what helps me? What's going to help me? What can I add into my schedule that is going to help me de-stress? So some things, right? Exercise. There are natural supplements you can take. I just started taking magnesium, which it's one of the things that we lack the most is magnesium. Fun fact. So it can help with stress. It can help with constipation. It can help with sleep. CBD oil is huge. Ashwagandha is a big one. Several studies suggest that all of these are effective and treat stress and anxiety. You can light a candle. Going back to your space being clean, but then also looking at beautiful things and things that make you feel happy. Like for us, it's cashmere plum. We love a good cashmere plum. Reducing your caffeine intake, writing it down, getting it out of your head, doing the brain dump.
Taking work breaks.
Yes. Scheduling a 5-minute break every hour just to get up, stretch, move, spend time with friends and family, laugh. Learn to say no, set those boundaries, learn to avoid procrastination, get her done. I think when you said, I need to be ready, I also think there's this idea of you're never going to be ready. So schedule it in your calendar and just do it. Because when you don't do it, well, then you're procrastinating and then it adds to your stress because you're like, damn it, I should just did it when I originally said I would do it because now I'm waking up late with the kids, running around like a mad woman. Like think about it, how you feel, the difference that you feel when you wake up early and are prepared versus running around last minute.
And also, just to be clear, be prepared for things that are actually going to happen. I think sometimes we can get too anxious because we're thinking of a million things that could happen that are not even real life.
Right. Going back to what is real, what is my truth right now?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. And then just a few other ones to maybe play with: yoga, mindfulness, some square breathing, cuddle, find a pet, find a boo, listen to soothing music, and drink some tea and some natural foods. Would you like to know what these natural foods are?
Yes, they help with stress.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're a big tea lover, matcha. Matcha tea is great. Sweet potatoes, eggs, shellfish, fatty fish, basically omega-3s, right? Broccoli. And my favorite, dark chocolate.
Yum. Okay, fine.
Eat some berries, some bananas, and some dark chocolate.
Okay. Sounds great. No problem.
Put a face mask on. Put on some music. Like for me, I put a face mask on.
They're really cheap at Target. Yeah.
I say, Alexa, play Justin Bieber. She plays My Boyfriend.
You got to be careful. She's
playing. Alexa's always listening.
Alexa, off.
We got some Justin Bieber playing in the background. And just like that, my stress, I feel a little lighter.
Yeah, of course. Well, again, everyone has different ways of managing stress. And so getting ideas or insight from other people is such a good idea. Obviously, we just listed a bunch for you. You can always come to us. You can guarantee we will give you 82,000 tips on anything that we are talking about. So rely on us. Read books. I like to listen to podcasts. So I follow a lot of people that give me tips, things I would probably never even think about.
Yeah. I think it can be overwhelming. I don't think I know it can be overwhelming. So something I recommend and what I've done that's really helped is when I begin to feel overwhelmed, I switch my brain into being curious. Right? So like, not that I have to do all these, but how would I feel if I tried this? how could I add this into my day, or one little thing, and just being curious as to why am I feeling this way? Okay, let's figure it out. Everything's figure outable. I know I can do something to help.
Yep.
And when I look at it that way, I feel like that also, like, maybe it triggers my vagus nerve. I don't know, but it helps. And my brain and my gut are a little more aligned when I'm giving myself grace, and I'm a little easier on myself.
And getting curious about yourself, getting curious about things that you've heard about. Like, it doesn't have to be something you're super familiar with, or it can be. You know, how would that make me feel right now?
Yeah,
I think that's just an easy question.
I didn't know anything about the vagus nerve, and now my vagus nerve.
Yeah, but the bottom line is you can do this. You can organize. You can make decisions that make you happy. You can schedule time for recharging yourself. You can schedule time for fun.
It's your life.
You can de-stress your life. You really can. And the last thing I want to say about stress is that stress should be temporary and manageable. So that's why we're giving a lot of tips on how to manage it. However, there is a difference between anxiety and stress. Anxiety persists excessively without a stressor. So you continually have these stressful feelings when the stressor is not there. Okay. And so that's important to notice too in your body. So if you feel like your anxiety, or if you have some traumatic stress and it's affecting your ability to function, that is so different than the type of stress that we are talking about. And please consider talking to a professional. Consider talking to a professional about, supplements that we had mentioned, or if you're feeling like you just cannot calm your body down chronically, it feels so overwhelming, please talk to a professional, and at least just remind yourself, if that feels uncomfortable to you, remind yourself that that is always available to you, talking with a professional or letting your physician know that I'm really struggling. And a lot of times I just cannot get the stressful, anxious feeling to go away.
Yeah. And it's normal. If you're feeling that way, it is okay.
You're not alone.
Yes. Yeah. Before we jump into our 3 gold stars, please remember that you can always use Gold Ivy's resources, anything that you feel like could benefit your life. If this episode spoke to you and you found value, please share it with someone else that you think would benefit from hearing us too. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all the socials where we are posting tips and tricks and just some fun dancing.
Maybe some dance moves.
Some TikToks.
Yes.
At Gold Ivy Health Co. And then get exclusive tips when you join the Ivy League for our weekly newsletter and blog. And check out our website at goldivyhealthco.com. If you don't remember any of this, remember goldivyhealthco.com. We got everything linked there for you.
Yes, we do. All right. Now it's time for our 3 gold stars.
Number 1. Carve out 10 minutes to reflect on what's causing you the most stress in your life at this moment.
2, list out 3 things you have control over that would help alleviate some of the pressure and stress.
3, write down one thing that helps you de-stress and schedule it into your calendar for this week. All right, unleashing Ivy.
All right, Brooke, what's one thing you do to center yourself so that you reduce your stress level?
I also do the brain dump. It feels so great. If you need to know what the brain dump is, go visit our episode on time management.
Number 2, episode 2, maximizing your time.
Yep. It's a great one.
Yes.
Leaves me feeling in control.
Knowing where what you need to get done is going on your calendar. There's nothing
Yeah,
like
and I
it.
feel more at ease and my stress is in control because I know that what I need to get done is going to get done. And then I can actually relax because I'm like, you know what? I already thought about that. And it's going to happen at this time. And feels good. Highly recommend.
Yes.
All right, Andrea. When you're really struggling with managing stress, what's one thing that steers you in a positive direction?
I would say if it's a ton of stress and I feel totally out of control with emotions, I journal. I will just straight up just start writing. And that's if it's really bad. But if it's like manageable stress and I'm just like, you know what will make me feel better? It's definitely a good old deep clean. Whole house, like just get after it, or schedule a time where I know like, okay, I am going to get to this really messy house. It's not today. Like Blair's home with me all day. She's going to be a little tornado following me anywhere I go anyway. But I would say cleaning.
That's a good one.
All right. And what's one thing you wish you would have known sooner about managing stress?
I would say that the key to life is learning how to manage your emotions, and in that is stress, because if you don't learn how to process your emotions, it's going to manifest in ways that you don't want to have to deal with later in life. I've learned that I'm not invincible, and I've gone through hard things, and that's okay. It's okay to not be okay. And I'm feeling these emotions for a reason, and I am not my emotions. Mm-hmm. They are just vibrations in my body, and there are ways that I can deal with them. I've also learned that in order to heal it, I have to feel it.
And I just want to remind you and everybody else that you are not alone. And if you are feeling overwhelmed, that you can lean on someone in your life. And if you don't feel like you have someone in your life, we are here for you. You can message us at any point if you feel like you need someone to listen.
Absolutely.
All right. And as always, we'd like to leave you with a piece of gold.
This week's piece of gold is from Michael Bernard Beckwith. He says, your potential is infinite and is always bigger than whatever problem you're going through.
This is Gold Ivy signing off.
Listen to your truth and go chase your gold.